Okay. Excuse me, let's look at section 9.2. Section 9.2 is a whole lot about matrices, okay, and how we can use matrices to solve systems of equations. We don't have to use matrices to solve systems of equations, and actually we have polysmelt, which might be an easier option, but we still need to understand what matrices are, and that is a way of representing systems of equations, okay? So the way we sort of name matrices or classify matrices are by their number of rows and number of columns. So this first one in here, I've got 2 rows, 3 columns, so we call it a 2 by 3 matrix, a 2 by 3 matrix, okay? When we want to rearrange matrices and do algebra with matrices, there are basically 3 what we call row operations, 3 things that we're allowed to do to any matrix, okay? We can multiply a row by any number, we can add 2 rows together, and we can interchange 2 rows. Okay, so this example here says, okay, we're going to have 2 row operations that they want us to do. They want us to multiply the row 1 by 7 times row 1, and then add it to row 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is each and every one of these, we're going to do 7 times each of these elements, each number, 1, 8, 4, and we're going to add that to the second row. Okay. So our new second row looks like, let's see, 7 times 1, and then add it to -7 gives us 0. And then we're going to move over. 7 times 8, which is 56, plus 2 is 58. And then move over again. 7 times 4, which is 28, plus -1 is 27. Okay, I don't actually have to change the first row, and I didn't do anything to the last row. So if you look down here, they're asking you to fill in those boxes with your new second row after you've done those 2 row operations. Okay? Excuse me. We can also write what we call an augmented matrix. Okay? So this is where we take a system of equations like this, 2 equations and 2 unknowns, and we write down all the coefficients, -2, 5, 3, -2, all lined up, very much like what we would put into polysmelt. And then we have this vertical line. After the vertical line, we put what's after the equal sign. So that vertical line basically kind of represents the equal sign in our augmented matrix. Okay, we call it augmented because we've taken the matrix of coefficients and augmented on what comes after the equal sign, what each equation equals. And this matrix has 2 rows and 3 columns, so it is a 2 by 3 matrix. Okay? We can go backwards. So if we have, let's say, an augmented system, we can go ahead and write the system of, or an augmented matrix, excuse me, we can go ahead and recover the system of equations. So basically this matrix is just a list of the coefficients, and remember that vertical line represents the equal sign. So our first equation is 4x minus 5y plus 4z equals 2. Second equation would read 4x plus 6y plus 3z equals -3. And then our last one would be 6x plus 4y plus 2z equals 6. Okay, so this system of equations is what would have produced that augmented matrix. And obviously the augmented matrix is much shorter and quicker to write because you don't have to write all the letters and you have to write the equal sign. Okay? The next example says to use Gauss-Jordan method, which is what we would do if we were going to use matrices. We are going to use any method, okay, to solve this system of equations. So the easiest thing, I think, is elimination. I think it's even faster than polysmelt. You can use polysmelt if you prefer. Okay, but if I add these 2 matrices together, I get x plus x, which is 2x. The y's cancel. 2 plus 1 is 3. So now I have 2x equals 3, which I can solve to tell me that x equals 3/2. Okay, I'm plugging that back into the original equation, 3/2 plus y equals 2, and I solve that and I get y equals 1/2. So the solution set is 3/2, 1/2. You can use polysmelt, you get exactly the same answer, okay? Doesn't matter to me. All right, just in case you have forgotten how to use Polysmelt, all right, we can do this next one with Polysmelt. So go ahead and open up Polysmelt, which I've got open here. You want simultaneous equation solver, and this one has 3 equations and 3 unknowns. So we're going to type in this matrix, and you can see that vertical line. This is the augmented matrix. So we've got 1, 1, -5, -34. Okay, I'm going to punch in the rest of these numbers. All right, so we've got all our numbers punched in. We hit solve, and Polysmelt spits out our answer for us. -4, -5. So we'll fill in these boxes. -4, -5, -5. Okay, would go in these boxes. Easy peasy. Okay, here's another 3x3 system, 3 equations with 3 unknowns, and we can use Polysmelt. However, we have kind of a problem. These are not in the right order, right? They're not set up correctly, okay, to use Polysmelt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first equation, okay, the one that says y equals, and I'm going to add 3x and add 3z to both sides. So I have 3x, I still have a y that was already on the left, plus 3z equals 17. Okay, the next one I have the x. I'm going to add 4y to the left, and I'm going to add z and leave the 13. I want the numbers without variables, just the constant terms, to be on the right side of the equal sign. So this last one here, yuck, I'm going to have to subtract x, add y. I already had z, and then there's no constant term, so equals 0. Okay, so type that into Polysmelt. Make sure, check your answers, check your work. Okay, you should get a perfectly lovely 7/2, 2, 3/2. Okay, so you can pause the video here, check that one in Polysmelt, make sure that your answer agrees with mine. This next one, luckily all the letters are in order, X, Y, Z, and W, but we've got 4 equations, 4 unknowns. So you're going to have to change your settings in Polysmelt. Okay, 4 equations and 4 unknowns. Okay, type this into Polysmelt. So this is where you should probably pause your video. Pause, go get a snack, maybe a beverage, get your calculator, and come back, and voila, you should get 0, 3, -2, 2. Okay, so check your work in that one. Make sure that's what you got when you use Polysmelt. Now we got a couple of word problems. Everybody loves a good word problem. If a building contractor hires 7 day laborers and 2 concrete finishers, his payroll is $1,304 for the day. If he hires only 1 day laborer and 5 concrete finishers, that would cost him $1,082 for the day. We want to find the daily wage for each type of worker. So we have just created ourselves a system of equations, okay, that I can put into Polysmelt. And the answer that I get out is 132, 190. So I need to know which one is which, right? The D was the first letter, first variable, so that's going to be my first answer. C was the second variable, so that's going to be my second solution. So the day laborer gets $132 for the day. The concrete finisher gets $190 for the day. Okay. In a special diet for a hospital patient, the total amount per meal of food groups A, B, and C is 420 grams. So if we add up food group A, food group B, and food group C, we should have 420 grams of food. The diet should include 1/3 as much of group A as of group B. That's kind of a weird way to write that, but basically they're saying that group A should only be 1/3 as much as food group B. Okay, and then the other information they tell us is that food group A and C should equal twice the amount of food group B. So A plus C needs to be twice food group B. So you can see that we've written ourselves 3 equations, and we've got 3 variables, A, B, and C. Okay, but we need to do a little bit of rearranging to put this into the form that can go into Polysmelt. Okay, the first one is kind of lovely, right? It's got our 3 letters all lined up in order, okay, and the constant term on the right side of the equal sign. The second one, not so much. We need to subtract the 1/3 b. We don't have any c's at all and no constant term. And then in our last equation, we need to subtract 2b. We do have a c, still no constant term. Okay, so we put this into polysmelt. And you got to remember, okay, that A was the first letter that you used, the first column, B goes with the second column, C goes with the third column. So when we get our answers back out of polysmelt, okay, food group A is our first variable, first solution, I should say. Food group B is the second answer, and food group C is the third answer. So this is the gram amount for each of those 3 food groups for the meals for that hospital patient. Okay, you should be all set now to do section 9.2. All right, have fun.